Okay. Let's see here. Make sure that everything's working for going live on the channel. Or is it knowing your audience? Okay. Everything we seem to be good on Facebook. We seem to be good on YouTube. We should be good on Facebook, good on YouTube. And what about LinkedIn? We're good on LinkedIn. It appears we are. Okay, so for people on LinkedIn, this is the first time I've ever live streamed on LinkedIn. However, it is not the first time I've ever live streamed on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm going to be discussing marketing and business related content every week at this time, barring a reason to call off the mic's off. I'm getting a report that the mic is off. Testing. Testing. Is everything all right? Bass speakers, volt microphone. Testing. Is that better? Is that better? How is this? Does this sound good? How's my audio? Good? Okay. Now, I have my microphone right here. I have multiple microphones, but this is the main one that I'm going to be using. So, my apologies for that. So this is the first time I'm live streaming on LinkedIn, but it is not the first time I've been live streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. With that said, Tuesdays and Thursdays are going to be live streams specifically about business and marketing related content. And for this first live stream, we're going to be talking about the importance of knowing your audience and truly understanding them when it comes to the development of any given business in any industry, omnidirectionally, universally. So, when it comes to the information that you can find on the blog that this live stream will then be spliced into, let me see if I can show here in a mini screen. No, there's that. All right, but then can I show this? No, that's not it. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to squeeze that in there. So this is the blog that my weekly live streams will pertain to. It's going to be omifirm.substack.com. Now, the focus of today will be the importance of knowing your audience. In any given marketing strategy, 9 times out of 10, any sort of problem when it comes to troubleshooting, not just simply the initial offer of whatever you're pitching to a given target audience, but your brand's alignment with that target audience, the parasocial bond that you built with that target audience, and whether or not it is strong enough for them to even consider buying from you, whatever it may be, pertaining to your small business. Or not, it doesn't have to be a small business, it could be a big-time corporation. It doesn't really matter what the size of your business is. If you fail to follow the basic principles of building a genuine, strong, parasocial relationship with your given target audience, you are absolutely going to struggle to make any sales at all. With that said, using this as an example, a recent controversy would be the Sydney Sweeney ad from American Eagle. Massive outrage about that. But here's the thing. If you were to read this accompanying article, which I think I can put this in the link to this in the description or comments after. Actually, I'll add that as a comment below in the social media chats. So I'll type that. Here is the link to the corresponding article for this live stream. This, and then there's this. So I'm putting that into the comment section right now. Hey guys, all right, so I'm seeing comments coming in on YouTube. Hey guys, how are you? Yeah, so Tuesdays and Thursdays, just like I was discussing in my previous live streams, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays will be philosophical content pertaining to the fruits of my wisdom and experience gained from being a father or a patriarchal leader in the family empire that I've basically been laying the foundations of for the past 10 years. And then Tuesdays and Thursdays will be specifically OmniFirm related content for the paid subscribers that are subscribed to that blog, where they want more business oriented information pertaining to what they can actionably use for their respective businesses. Since today is Tuesday, we're going to be focusing on this topic, right? So choosing an audience and sticking with them, and understanding the importance of choosing this audience, choosing your respective target audience or audiences, knowing them well and remaining loyal to them. So when we talk about examples like American Eagle or even Victoria's Secret, which this article will go into, and if you haven't seen it yet, you can check out the link in the comment that I've dropped. When it comes to using these as an example, let's, at a high level, bird's eye view, let's observe what Victoria's Secret has done throughout the evolution of its self-actualization of as a brand. It started off way back, years ago, decades ago. I remember when in the 90s, when I was a little kid, and my mom used to get Victoria's Secret magazines that she would flutter through. I couldn't look at them in detail because I was a young kid, but I do vaguely remember that my mom would get these catalogs. And from the beginning, Victoria's Secret would market itself with the classical angels. And when you look at the Victoria's Secret angels, Heidi Klum, Alessandra Ambrosio, if I'm pronouncing her name correctly, these women are thin, classically beautiful in the perspective of the Greco-Roman standard, because there's a mathematical equation for determining what the ancient Greeks classified as beauty pertaining to the symmetry of one's face and the dimensions of one's face. Victoria's Secret built its brand off of the magnetism of these respective idols. And they would host these regular shows that would attract what became men like me. Now, that's not to say that that has to be the beauty standard. Like, I understand to a certain extent where many people, men and women, are a bit disturbed by what those models have to go through. But that's not the point of this discussion. The point of this discussion is understanding how a brand started and chose a target audience, ran with a theme, with principles and values to that brand, and then diverted throughout the process of, I'd say, the peak of the quote-unquote woke era, early 2000s, when we're still technically in the early 2000s, but I mean, like around 2010 is when we start to see a major shift towards left-leaning politics in the advertising of all different kinds of corporations. I'm just using Victoria's Secret as an example. Only for them now to rebound, brands like Victoria's Secret and American Eagle to rebound by saying, like, wait, that doesn't actually serve us. So this article that I've written goes into detail about how American Eagle kind of followed the same pattern and is now recovering in the sense of reclaiming the respect of its original core audience. Victoria's Secret started off one way, went another way, and then has been trying to reclaim the respect of its target audience. If, on the other hand, regardless of whatever models it chose, if, on the other hand, it started off with the non-Greco-Roman standards of beauty, to put it very delicately, and built an audience off of that premise, then to deviate, then to go with what were outside of the hypothetical, the original angels, then it would be the deviant, and it would receive the catastrophic decline in sales. But that's not what happened. American Eagle started off one way, deviated, and now it's doing the same, following the same exact pattern. So what does that mean? It means simply because you may have an antithetical target audience or audiences that don't like what you do, that don't like what the company stands for, they don't like the advertising, and may rant and rave about it, against it. So long as you stay true to your principles, your true audience will always remain loyal to you. That's what it seems like these major corporations are just realizing, just coming to terms with the fact that they should have stayed the course. It's natural that over time, sure, sales will rise and flow. That's totally natural. Rise and fall. That's totally natural. The reason why Victoria's Secret went woke, tied heavily into declining sales, needing to close stores. But was that because men, or should I say its target audience, the sociological subsegment of men, the populational segmentation of men that found their idols to be attractive enough, that the fans of those respective idols, and not just men, but also the women, depending on your sexual preference, insert here. If it had instead stayed true to that audience while coming up with different theories for why its sales were declining, which could have been entirely due to by sales, I mean it's foot traffic sales, which I'm going to get into, pertaining to propaganda against the American Eagle being published in the media that I just read today. That is not to say that it was because the original thematic formula for that the brand was built on to begin with had actually changed or should have changed. It didn't. There are a multitude of factors pertaining to why Victoria's Secret's sales began to decline around the circa 2010. A lot of that had to do with the natural pangs of digital transformation. The classical malls that we remember seeing in movies, Hollywood movies published in the 90s, are beginning to die, or they've been dying for a while. So that can be scary to a brand, any brand that's made the majority of its sales thus far from brick and mortar establishments just like that. So when we're looking at the statistics of how the sales began to shift from one way, because statistics don't lie, but statisticians do, I can understand the temptation to go woke. However, what Victoria's Secret's board of executives got wrong, what its marketing department got wrong, what the key decision makers at the company got wrong, was that they experimented with the thought that perhaps the standard of beauty changed. When no, the standard of beauty didn't change. Masculine men like feminine women, period. I buy Victoria's Secret for my wife, just being plain and simple, right? She doesn't buy that for herself. I buy that for her. And I've mentioned that in this article. And Trex says, this happened to Marvel. Yes, that also happened to Marvel. No, stick with your core audience, right? Yes, you're absolutely right, Trex. Yes, that also happened. So I'm just using Victoria's Secret and American Eagle as an example, but you could apply this universally to so many different brands, not just in clothing, but in any industry. Hollywood, right? Marvel, happened to Star Wars, right? Same concept. there are a multitude of reasons why Victoria's Secret suffered from the illusion of declining interest, the illusion of declining interest in its core audience. And a lot of that had to do with the natural pangs of digital transformation in and of itself. Not that there was anything wrong with the brand. When Victoria's Secret started going woke, but I'm not trying to insult anyone, I'm just simply saying when it made that respective change in its branding, it lost the respect of its core audience that would have purchased from them. We began to shift into other brands that stayed true to the themes that Victoria's Secret relied on for decades to make sales in principle, which then led to even a wider spread cataclysmic loss in sales that they weren't expecting, leading to the boomerang of wanting to go anti-woke that we're seeing more and more brands start to catch the drift of. Now, I'm actually rather shocked that such corporate executives of high-level companies wouldn't realize this. Like like to people like me, it's obvious. No, just stay true. There's nothing wrong with Victoria's Secret. There's nothing wrong with the early Marvels movies. There's nothing wrong with the early American Eagle. There's nothing wrong with the original brands. We like these brands. They made waves when they first arrived, when they first made themselves known to the world for a reason, right? And men like me, we didn't change. Men like well, really anyone in its respective target audience, or women like my wife, they didn't change. We grew older, but we didn't change the core aspects of our preferences, our purchase preferences. We may have just simply shifted online, or other market factors that have nothing to do with anything those brands did wrong, such as changes in the economy, mass layoffs, declines in people's annual salaries, the COVID crisis, and how that countless people lost their jobs, and how that would affect people's triage of what they purchase and what they don't out of fear for the future. Nothing that brands like American Eagle could control, or Victoria's Secret could control in any way that would warrant such a drastic change to their core values, or at least how they presented those core values in their advertising. It seems like they're beginning to realize that. Now, what does that have to do with the propaganda that I was mentioning earlier in this call that I said it would segue into? I was reading an article today that tried to, it clearly had a left-leaning bias and trying to dismay or utilize American Eagle as a kind of deterrent to perhaps signal to other brands that they shouldn't do this, to stay with the woke agenda. And it said in this article that American Eagle suffered a major blow, right? A very hyperbolic headline. And then in the body of the article, it said that American Eagle suffered a 9% decrease in foot traffic, which is massive for an international corporation like American Eagle. That is a massive drop. That 9% is a big deal. What it didn't say, what it omitted, was the massive, almost 300% spike in internet traffic. It conveniently left that detail out. Right, and that signaled strongly to me that no matter how much we try to pretend like values and politics don't matter in a corporation, they absolutely do. And that American Eagle was right to do what it did. And hey, a lot of people may disagree with me on that, and I'm sure a lot of people do. But the core audience, what matters is that even if brands like American Eagle piss off, and this article that I have on screen goes into that, even if American Eagle pisses off, or other brands like American Eagle, even if they piss off millions and millions and millions of people around the world, that is not to say that they should ever allow that the furor, the ranting and raving, to make them stray from their course because the very people who dislike them, the archetypal people that dislike them, that dislike their core, their advertising from their core values, their original selves, were never their customers to begin with. It's not the people, it's not the overweight, blue-haired college student who doesn't know what gender she is that's going to buy American Eagle to begin with. Yet they will be the loudest online, the first to scream racism, Nazism, the first to scream this, that, and play along with the victimhood politics, acting as though American Eagle oppressed them somehow. When in fact, the exclusivity implied in American Eagle's advertising is what helps its market value to its actual target audience of actual buyers who are not complaining. And you can take that same concept and apply it to virtually any industry in the world. When you have a company, when you start your small business, it may start off as a small business, but hey, hopefully it does grow into a major company. But however you may start, choose your core values, choose your ideal target audience, and stick with them. Advertise to them boldly. And if whatever respective antithetical target audiences dislike you for doing so, fear not, because they were never your buyers to begin with. And one of the most cataclysmic decisions you can make as a business executive is to acquiesce, is to oblige the mob. Because the moment you do that, you don't just simply break the integrity of your business's character. You signal to the audience that would support you, that have supported you, that their preferences come second. And that is where you'll truly lose, because the people that may rant and rave against whatever it is that you produce, as they are not your ideal audience to begin with, they have already made a judgment about your company in their minds. Therefore, insecurely bending the knee to their emotional whims and insecurities will not gain your brand respect in their eyes. In the same exact way, a good company is a good person. Or to start your business, first understand who you are, which is another article that I published on the same blog. You can see here, to start your business, first understand who you are. Let's say we're not talking about the business aspect of things. Let's say that we're talking about just a regular individual sitting in a classroom somewhere, or just in a public place, and somebody makes a judgment of you. Do you think that after that person makes a judgment of you, that if you start jumping through hoops to make that, in hopes that that person will respect you, do you honestly think that they will actually respect you? No, if anything, they'll think even less of you. So if we look at companies as extensions of the self, or extensions of the leadership, manifestations, corporate manifestations, legal manifestations of their leadership, the people that operate the company, that is exactly what we're seeing here. What we're seeing here is a person that has a strong personality all of a sudden draws the ire of someone in the corner of a room. And what brands like Victoria's Secret or American Eagle or movie franchises like Star Wars or LucasArts, after selling it to Disney, companies like Disney, what they do is they forget the value of their original target audience and sacrifice that target audience in the hopes that more people will respect them, when in fact the opposite occurs. Don't be them. When you're establishing your business, choose who your target audiences are, because you could have more than one. Stick with them for the long term. Don't break. Maintain the integrity of your character. No matter what your values may be, there is an audience for them. Don't break character. Be authentically what you set out to be. That is the moral of today's live stream. Right. And so if you guys have any questions, I'm seeing some comments on Facebook. I'm seeing some comments on YouTube, but let's see if there's anything on Facebook. Right. And this article goes, not just this article, but the one that I wrote here. Yes. Right. It goes into how once you choose your respective ideal target audience, those are the people that will keep your business going through thick and thin. Okay, so I don't see any comments on Facebook, but I do see some on YouTube. Okay, Larry says, hey bud, sounds good. Cool. Primal Instinct says, hello Mike, hello chat. Trek says, this happened to Marvel, I addressed that already. And remember, BlackRock tried to force culture. Yeah. See, let's check out LinkedIn. Okay, so if I don't have any questions, I guess I can end the stream early. And I totally expect that. It's totally natural for there not to be many viewers, not to be many comments at first, or at least the first few months, because this is going live streaming every single day, every single workday is a totally new thing for me. My entire audience is not used to. The majority of my audience, virtually all of them, are just not used to me going live every day, but I am. So Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays are going to be philosophical Norton's Mind content. And to give you an example of that, what that looks like, let's go here. Norton's Mind. You can see that here. You can subscribe to it in the link in the description. Right, and this is about, this is a philosophical blog. Norton's Mind is a philosophical blog in which I share the fruits of my wisdom from the example I demonstrate throughout the process of building my own family business, or should I say businesses. So this is more about my personal experience and the fruits of that personal experience, whereas OmiFirm is more about what you can more actionably use for your own respective business. Because multiple people follow me for different reasons. Different people follow me for different reasons on different social media platforms. And what I've been gradually doing is congregating my personal brand into one overlapping throughput of value that all the audiences can share, just simply having two blogs respective to each, or more than one blog respective to each of the reasons why one social media channel, the majority of people on one social media channel might follow me, while the majority of people on another social media channel might follow me. What's the common thread there? Well, and this is that. So on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, it's going to be Norton's Mind content, what it's like being a family man and a father while building a family business, and the more family morals, family principles while building the business. And then OmiFirm content will be on Tuesdays and Thursdays, pertaining to actionable advice you can use for your own business. If you could become a paid subscriber, I would highly appreciate that. It gives you direct access to me for whatever reason you need me for. Like, for example, if you become a paid subscriber to the OmiFirm Substack account, what then occurs is you get let me see if I can show you here. Subscribe. Perhaps maybe. Okay, it doesn't show quite the same way for me because I'm the admin of the account. But it's expensive to hire someone like me for a business, pertaining to dollars per hour. So if you're a smaller business and you want to benefit from my wisdom in a way that's pertinent and poignant to you specifically, we can have one-on-one conversations to a quantity that is within reason, either through email or on live calls, if you become a paid subscriber to my OmiFirm account, OmiFirm Substack account. So if you check out my LinkedIn profile, If you check out my Upwork profile, if you check out omifirm.com, and you see all the awards that I've won, the nearly 200 companies that I've worked with over the past 10 years, and you want to benefit from my wisdom and experience as a marketing strategist in helping you to actively build your company, then all it would take is $7 a month. I think it's $7 a month to subscribe to my OmiFirm Substack account. Once you do, I'll receive the email, and you can we can start talking about your business. At that point, I can become a passive consultant in your brand, and whenever you need advice for setting up your business or troubleshooting any aspect of your marketing campaign, or perhaps brainstorming, I think you'll find immense value in having me on your team, if even in a passive role, through the direct communication, the one-on-one communication I grant to paid subscribers of the blog, if they don't contract me directly for hands-on work in their respective company. One more check for comments before I log off.
This is the crazy.
Let's see here. No. All right. So I'm going to be hosting these every week now. Mondays and Fridays are philosophical content. Tuesdays and Thursdays are business and marketing content.